preparation took 2 years and included dancing every day until his feet were numb. He also moved back into the Jackson family's famed Havenhurst compound to fully entrench himself in Michael's world.
Let's do it again.
Yeah, I missed that.
Yeah.
He used a room in Havenhurst that used to be the dining room, and he put walls of mirrors and a sound system, and he danced all day until his feet were bloody and bruised, until he literally couldn't stand up anymore. And he would take a short break and he would do it again.
Did you lose yourself in Michael a little bit? Have you gotten yourself back? Have you gotten Jaafar back?
I think so, absolutely, yeah. But I enjoyed every second of it in Michael's world, and I miss it. I definitely do.
Everyone knew Jaafar Jackson looked like his uncle Michael, but could he actually move like him? From the sharp footwork and spins to Michael's smallest signature gestures, Jaafar's dancing left fans stunned by just how familiar it looked. And behind those few seconds were years of practice and intense training to accomplish something incredibly difficult, moving like the king of pop.
Michael, his life is epic. And to become the king of pop, it's an amazing journey.
The challenge of taking on someone like Michael Jackson, it sounded fun, but then the more real it got, the more pressure I felt. Going through this process of who can play Michael, how do you even start with that? And then, of course, I meet Jaafar Jackson.
And I always tell everybody, it's how we start is how we finish. So let's start with some fire.
And behind the finished performance was an intense amount of preparation. Behind-the-scenes footage from Michael shows Jaafar rehearsing the choreography repeatedly, studying the footwork, spins, posture, and smallest gestures that defined his uncle's performances.
Day one, all I could think of was, can Jaafar really pull this off? Man, when the music started, and he hit those first few moves, I mean, this guy killed it. I looked at Graham, and Graham looked at me. I was like, who is this guy?
He wasn't just learning individual dance moves, he was training to make them feel natural. Moreover, Jaafar worked closely with choreographers like Rich and Tone Talawega to recreate iconic sequences from eras like Thriller, Bad, and Billie Jean from Motown 25.
What was it like when you got to see yourself dressed as Michael for the first time?
Wow, I remember that so vividly. I was in the Bad tour outfit, performing the Bad song, actually, and it was day one.
That was the first day?
That was the first day.
Oh my God.
Shooting that
up here.
Yeah, we started on the highest level, and it was so demanding. I just remembered having so much built-up anticipation and excitement because I was rehearsing for a couple years.
Do you see that?
I was rehearsing for a couple years privately, a lot on my own, and then with Rich and Tone were the choreographers and Michael, but mainly on my own in the mirror. And I just couldn't wait to have a crowd or the film crew to do it in front of. So it was that built up excitement for a long time. So when the
you
time
put it out
came,
on the stage.
Oh yeah, I left it all on the stage, absolutely.
That's what makes the rehearsal footage so fascinating. You can actually see Jaafar slowly transforming from Michael Jackson's nephew into the performer tasked with bringing the king of pop back to the screen.
I don't remember a moment that you weren't Michael.
I feel like by the time we met, I was definitely more in a flow state.
You were in the pocket.
In a way, yeah.
Okay.
I was getting closer and closer, but I always felt like I wasn't fully there. But for me, there's definitely nerves in the very, very, very beginning before I even attempted to try an acting class or attempted a dance move or any of that.
You didn't do any of that before.
No.
You were playing golf.
I was playing golf, I was playing other sports, I was doing music, I was producing, I was writing, I was singing, but nothing in film.
Jaafar's preparation for Michael went far beyond simply learning his uncle's dance moves. Behind-the-scenes footage shows him at the Havenhurst estate in Encino, California, immersing himself in the environment where Michael spent countless hours developing his craft. The production also recreated Michael's personal home recording studio on a soundstage because the original room was too small for filming.
This is the recording studio that Michael had built where he created the demos for the Thriller album. This room has so much history in it. It's very inspiring. I didn't really get to appreciate this room until many, many years later after, like really once I came back, like right now and many months prior to this, I've had the privilege of being able to be in this room, stay in this room, and even dance in the recording booth over there, which when I first came back, that's where I started to dance. So this was the first room I came in when I started to learn all the moves of Michael's, or just to begin. And I really started at the basics. And even though it was a small space, I just used it as a way to just really lock myself in here, and just repetition, doing it over and over again, whichever move I was focusing on that day. When you're in here and you shut all the doors, the sound is completely quiet since it's soundproof.
The recreation included details associated with Michael's real creative space, from the vintage reel-to-reel equipment and large mixing console to inspirational quotes displayed on the walls. It gave Jaafar another way to understand the atmosphere in which Michael worked and practiced. Jaafar also spent extensive time rehearsing at Havenhurst and reportedly even slept there during his preparation. Instead of studying Michael entirely through old footage, he was surrounding himself with places connected to his uncle's life, trying to understand not only how Michael performed, but the dedication and creative mindset behind those legendary performances.
So you feel you're cut off from everything else outside, and it just allows you to really focus in here. And I would dim the lights, make it kind of dark. I'd have loud speakers in here and just dance, nonstop. So each time I would come into this room before I would dance, it kind of became like a habitual thing where I had to read this quote before getting into it. It was like a springboard into getting into the dance, just inspiring and to always be in search of and being a researcher and to always study and reading this every day.
But even after years of rehearsing Michael's choreography, one performance pushed Jaafar harder than the rest. While preparing for Michael, Jaafar revealed that recreating his uncle's legendary performances wasn't simply about memorizing the steps. Every movement had to carry Michael's precision, energy, and effortless style.
Which one was the hardest? I would say probably Billie Jean, Motown 25, because I wanted to get as close as I possibly could to that, frame by frame. And that one was tough because trying to stick to that, frame by frame, but also not coming across as just trying to mimic, but still embodying the performance in it and being believable while sticking to that structure. That was a challenge, hitting every moment, every beat, but also having the energy and the showmanship behind the moves too, which was a challenge.
And when he revealed which Michael Jackson performance was the hardest to recreate, it showed just how demanding the transformation really was. For Jaafar, the challenge wasn't just dancing like the king of pop. It was making decades of iconic choreography look as natural as Michael made it seem. Working with choreographers who had first-hand experience with Michael, Jaafar repeated routines over and over, studying everything from the footwork and spins to the smallest gestures between moves.
I'd like to spend time in the place where Michael created so much magic from.
I spent one, I grew up there. Yeah. But then in this process of getting into character, I use that as a playground, a place to really train and rehearse, work with my acting coaches, work with choreography of the many different moves there.
So wait, so you went back to Havenhurst and everybody just came to your house?
Yeah.
So you were like, I'm home.
Yeah.
Like you could go in the kitchen when you sat on the couch, everything?
Yeah, I would wake up there, I'd go down, rehearse, and when I take a break, I'd go watch films that my uncle would watch, or do different things that would just make me stay in that mode. And I did that for about 2 years, I would say.
You worked with some of his old choreographers. How was that?
Wow, Rich and Tone. I got a chance to work with them for a good amount of time, and to be able to work with them and hear the stories that they had while working with Michael, and those stories in the rehearsal process of what that was like, and how disciplined Michael was. That was incredible to hear, and there's so much love.
And Jaafar is already thinking about which part of Michael's career he would love to recreate next. While speaking with ET's Kevin Frazier at the premiere of Michael, Jaafar opened up about his family's reaction to seeing him portray his uncle, and revealed the Michael Jackson song he especially wants the chance to perform if the story continues in a sequel.
It means everything, especially to have family. I mean, that's where it all started, especially with my family. We grew up always wanting to continue that bond and to have that support and feel it on a night like this, it couldn't be more special.
Okay, your dad saw the movie for the first time in Berlin. You walked up on the stage, you didn't have a chance to really interact, but what was that like? What was that moment behind the stage when he finally could say what he wanted to say?
It was so emotional. He cried, he couldn't even say much, and I knew that's how special it really meant to him. And it was all in his eyes, and he just couldn't be more proud. And he still calls me just saying how proud he is and can't believe that I was able to pull it off in that way. And it's to hear that, that's all I want to hear from my family.
For Jaafar, that would mean another opportunity to tackle Michael's legendary choreography and stage presence on an even bigger scale. After spending years studying his uncle's movements and rehearsing some of his most recognizable performances, there are still iconic moments he wants to bring to the screen. And if the sequel happens, Jaafar already knows exactly which Michael Jackson song he wants to take on next.
You are now a leading man. Have you been reading other scripts? Do you have something else you're going to do before you do this second part of Michael?
I've been reading many things, but there's a few things that has caught my eye, but it's really on timing whenever I'm available after finishing Michael. So we'll see, but I can't wait to get on to the next thing.
How far along have you all gotten? Because I know you've shot some other stuff and we've seen scenes where you're like walking with Nia and other things that weren't in the movie. So how far along have you gotten?
Well, I don't know. That's a better question for Antoine Fuqua or Graham King. But there's a lot we shot. You know, I can't even keep count of how much we shot footage-wise, and I mean the days were it was many months of shooting. But I know there's a lot more to be told in Michael's story, and the audience will want more.
This behind-the-scenes footage shows just how much work went into transforming Jaafar Jackson into his uncle. It wasn't simply about putting on Michael's costumes and recreating a few famous dance moves. Jaafar spent years studying his movements, posture, expressions, speaking voice, and the tiny mannerisms fans instantly recognize. The Making of Michael video reveals that process up close, from intense choreography rehearsals and vocal preparation to costumes, makeup, and recreating some of Michael's most iconic performances.
I remember the very first time when I had a call, with Graham King, the producer. He spoke to me about it. It was so early on. It was a lot to take in. I'd never acted before. I'd never wanted to act, so I had a lot of, I was in conflict with it because I wasn't sure if I can really do it or not. So then I got with an acting coach, and I really want to learn what is acting, and start there before trying to embody Michael. So I did that for about a year, and then I started to really, study Michael's videos, his lyrics, everything about him. And that's when I start to embody him.
And what makes it even more fascinating is watching Jaafar gradually disappear into the role. One moment you're watching Michael Jackson's nephew rehearsing, and the next, the movements become so familiar that the resemblance feels almost uncanny. This wasn't just imitation. Jaafar had to learn how to make Michael's movements feel instinctive, and the behind-the-scenes footage shows exactly how hard he worked to get there. But after all the rehearsals, costumes, and months of studying Michael's every movement, there was one moment when Jaafar finally felt the transformation become real. During a cast interview for Michael, Jaafar opened up about the point when he stopped feeling like himself performing choreography and genuinely felt immersed in portraying his uncle. With the costume, music, movement, and atmosphere all coming together, everything he had practiced finally clicked.
Okay, Jaafar, you trained for 2 years dancing and rehearsing in Michael's old room. Okay, now what was the moment where you looked in the mirror and it hit you that you had transformed into your Uncle Michael?
It's when I was able to land 3 spins and stop on my toes. That's like, okay, I'm getting somewhere.
And the spins are to the left, right?
Yeah, to the left, which was hard for me because initially I would, when I would try to spin, I'd spin to my right naturally. And I had to learn to do it opposite, it took a long time to get used to that.
It's a revealing moment because it shows that becoming Michael Jackson wasn't just about mastering the moonwalk or copying famous poses. For Jaafar, the real breakthrough came when he stopped thinking about every individual movement and simply began performing. And for a moment, he felt completely transformed into the king of pop.
When you first saw me perform as Michael, you shared you wanted to protect me. Why is that a feeling that came over you?
I just thought what I saw was very special. And I felt like you don't see it that often. And I know when I saw it, I believed it. And I was like, oh, that has to be protected. That's something I didn't anticipate at all until I saw you guys. I saw you guys perform, and I was like, whoa, whatever he's doing is so special. I want to make sure he has everything he needs, and I want to protect it.
But some of the most interesting footage isn't what appears in the finished movie. It's what happened when the cameras weren't rolling. The special features take viewers inside the making of Michael, showing Jaafar rehearsing alongside dancers, working through choreography, preparing scenes, and repeating Michael's movements until every detail feels right.
So we broke down frame by frame the Billie Jean performance from Motown 25, and that was the first set of choreography I started to learn throughout the process, and I had 20 days to kind of prove to them and the filmmakers that I can pull it off within those 20 days, even though in my mind I was like, 20 days? How can I do that? I need a lot more time, and within that time I was very doubtful, and it was incredibly challenging. I can only imagine looking back at those videos now, and it's horrible.
You pulled it up. No, you pulled it up.
Compared to now, how it looks on the film is way different.
Oh, yeah.
You can see the difference between simply knowing the steps and actually performing them with Michael's timing and energy. Jaafar had to focus on everything from the way Michael shifted his weight to how he transitioned between moves, and that's what makes this footage so revealing. Instead of only seeing the polished final performance, we get to watch the process behind it, Jaafar practicing, adjusting, and gradually becoming more comfortable with movements his uncle made famous.
Essentially, it was starting at the roots and finding that authenticity.
He took it to a level that none of us thought he could take it to.
That's part of the magic of Jaafar. He has the desire, like Michael, to be the best.
Whoa, let's go. Yeah, that's it. That's amazing.
I felt that love from Michael every day on set, from the crew and the cast. Everybody had that love and wanted to put all their heart and soul into it.
Nearly 200 participants auditioned, many of them seasoned Michael Jackson impersonators who had spent years perfecting his every move. Still, there was no spark noticed by the team until Jaafar stepped into the room.
With Jaafar, you can see how much he cares. That's what makes him so special. And whatever that spirit of Michael he's bringing is present, and everyone on the team can feel it.
None of us will be here today if it wasn't for Jaafar.
Michael became a massive global hit, eventually passing the billion-dollar mark at the worldwide box office. But even beyond the numbers, Jaafar's performance became a major part of the conversation. People weren't just talking about the costumes or the recreations. They were talking about Jaafar, about how close his mannerisms were, about his dancing, about his resemblance to his uncle, and about whether the Jackson family might have another extraordinary performer in its next generation. Of course, there is no next Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson was a once-in-a-lifetime icon. His career changed music, dance, fashion, and entertainment forever. Nobody is going to simply step into that position, but Jaafar doesn't necessarily need to. He doesn't have to replace Michael. He may simply be proving that the talent that runs through the Jackson family didn't disappear with him. And now, after audiences have actually seen what Jaafar can do, that comparison feels very different. Before the movie came out, it was a question mark. Now, people have seen the performance for themselves, and suddenly, the question isn't whether Jaafar can dance like Michael, it's just how far he can take that talent of his own. Because if Michael was only the beginning, Jaafar Jackson may have a very interesting career ahead of him.
I never dreamed to be an actor or even thought of playing him, but I knew it was a calling. Embodying Michael, I really had to earn the role and prove to the filmmakers that I was capable of becoming Michael. Essentially, it was starting at the roots and finding that authenticity.
He took it to a level that none of us thought he could take it to.
That's part of the magic of Jaafar. He has the desire, like Michael, to be the best.
Make sure to check out our other videos on the screen.